When I first started woodworking, I honestly never thought I would still be doing it. But once I made my first little project, I knew that I wanted to keep doing this. To this day, I've never gotten bored of it. No pun intended. No matter how many times I cut down a line on a piece of wood, I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate. I made many, many different things along the years, but honestly, there were very few that I was actually very proud of. I would see videos or posts of pictures of other projects people had done and would ask myself, how in the world will I ever be able to compete with that? There's so many talented makers out there. How did they become so good? But along the way, I figured out, like anything else, it's good to take inspiration from them, but don't compare yourself to them. You don't know their circumstances. You don't know how much work they put in. That's when I realized I hadn't put as much in as I thought I had. I had to be realistic. Yes, I put in many hours on projects, but the issue is if you don't push yourself into a project that in the past you may have said, I don't think I have the skills to do that, then you won't get any better. You'll get good at the level you keep yourself at, and that's it. Luckily, along with that realization and with a little push from my family, I kept taking the next step up. That always helps, but you can't rely on that because that might not always be there, and I understand that. Not everyone is lucky enough to have that support. So I took on harder projects, and with that, my confidence grew. When I decided to make my first hand plane, I told myself it will probably be a piece of junk, but I will have learned something from it. So I did, and it did look like a piece of junk. I dug out of a burnt down shop, but it worked. It worked, and I couldn't believe it. Even though I knew 1,000 people before me had done it already, to me it was a big accomplishment. And when I was done, my mindset had changed. As simple as flipping over a coin. I can do this. All because I decided to take on something harder than that I was afraid of. But with that also came some regret that I hadn't done this sooner. So I started to push myself harder in order to become a better maker, take on harder projects, and try to learn what I had ignored before. Hence the title, Making a Tri-Square with a Circle. Geometry, something I had never really paid attention to in school. I just did the minimum in order to get through class, like a lot of teens. But I didn't really retain it and never thought I would need it. Turns out it would have been really helpful in my day-to-day job. But it is also a helpful tool for woodworking. One of those things is this. It's called Thales Theorem. Hopefully I pronounced his name correctly. A Greek philosopher from ancient Greece. He discovered that if you strike a line across the center point of a circle, if you strike another point anywhere on the circle and connect all 3 points, it will always be a right angle. And with this, you can create a tri-square with a circle. Yeah, you could just buy a metal tri-square, but that won't improve your skills. And besides, where's the fun in that? That's not why some of us do it. You create this master key slowly until it is as perfect as you can make it, until it is true, as they call it. Check it, and then check it again. When you can strike a line, flip it over until the second line you strike runs on the same plane, then it is ready to use. This will be what you use to make different size tri-squares. You can also use the same method to make other tools, like winding sticks, another useful tool. I'm not sure if you can see it here, but it's a little bit off towards the end. It's not much, but if you were to make a fairly large or long winding stick or tri-square, it's gonna show up. So you need to figure out where to plane it at, and then do it again until it's as perfect as you can get it. When you lay the straight edge on it, you really don't want to be able to see any light coming through, if possible. I'd say this edge is straight. If you're still not straight on one end or the other, you can add a little paper shim to get you straight on the shooting board, and then you can use your hand plane to screw it up.